Hello, I'm Carl Baldassarre, and apart from being a composer and musicologist, I've been a guitar player and band leader for over 5 decades. And I can tell you, looking back over all that time, I really understand what the biggest beginner mistakes are. And I'm going to share with you the things I wish I would have known 50 years ago. And I'm going to give you 16 of them right here. Let's go. Number one, not playing with other musicians. You have to break out of the bedroom because music happens with other human beings and other musicians. So get out of the bedroom and start playing with other people. Number two, not playing with people that are better than you. I know it's comfortable to be the best player in any room, but you're never going to grow. You need to play with musicians that are better than you, and you need to do it as often as you possibly can. By playing with better people, they're going to elevate your playing. So you have to get over sort of the nerves that you have of being with people that are so good and they're intimidating, but they will lift your playing and take you to the next level. And if you wind up being the best player, best musician in the room, you need to leave that room. Number three, not playing along with recorded music. You should really spend a lot of time playing along with some of the great songs that you love because you'll learn a lot about how progressions unfold. You'll learn a lot about song structures, and you need the 10,000 hours anyway, so you might as well start playing along with recorded music as well. Number four, you need to learn the entire song. You don't want to be the person that's going to show up at a party and just play the opening few chords of a song and everybody's ready to start singing the whole song with you and you don't know the rest of it. You just wanted to show off that you knew either the opening riff or you could play the first few chords. You really have to learn the entire song, and that's going to make you a better player because when you want to be a great soloist, solos occur in context of an entire song. So when you understand an entire song and its structure, it's going to make you a better improviser. Number five, and this is really a big one, and this does really undermine a lot of musicians, and that is never developing a great sense of rhythm. You have to understand that music is played along a continuum of time, and you've got to feel that timeline, and you got to develop what we call a sense of groove or a sense of deep pocket. And even more importantly, you got to learn how to subdivide a beat. So within this sort of lesson, that means you want to get a metronome or you want to play along with some sort of drum track on YouTube or whatever, but you got to play along with a pulse and a meter, and you absolutely need to learn how to subdivide a beat. You really can't go anywhere if you can't subdivide a beat, and that means learning how to split quarter notes into eighth notes. And most importantly, the hardest thing to do is splitting eighth notes into 16th notes and understanding how those feel. So you move beyond counting, but you actually feel how those beats unfold as subdivisions. So learn how to play and develop a great sense of rhythm. Number six, not dedicating enough time to the rhythm guitar parts. So many of us really want to just jump right to the front of the stage and start playing the solos. But you really can't play a great solo unless you know how to play a great rhythm part. Again, like my point five, this is about spending time playing rhythm guitar and understanding the feeling of a great rhythm on guitar. And there's so much beautiful music on rhythm guitar, and you'll find it's actually a lot harder than playing solos. I find trying to play a great rhythm and striking it, to a click track and really nailing it is really hard to do. And it was hard to do because I really wasn't focused on it because I wanted to be the Guitar Hero guy. But absolutely, you'll benefit yourself if you start learning to play a great rhythm guitar part. Number seven, not learning all the notes on the neck of the guitar. Big problem. There are so many blind spots on the guitar unless you make it a deliberate point to understand every note on every string up the neck of the guitar. You really have to view this as mailboxes. These are all individual addresses, and you have to know the name of the person that's living in each address. So whatever technique it requires, and there's lots of good suggestions on YouTube, you must learn where all the notes are on the neck of the guitar and do it just instantaneously. When you put your finger down, I know that's F. I know that's E. I know that's C. I know that's G sharp. I don't even have to look. I know every note on the guitar, and I don't have to think about it in terms of a pattern or how to connect it to anything because I know each one of these note names personally. They're personal friends of mine, and they live at a specific address. Do that for yourself, and you'll really wind up being a much better player. Number 8. Now, this one was a really, really crippling one for me because I was playing with too much tension. So you do not want to play with tension in your hands. Number 1, because you'll hurt yourself eventually. Number 2, that playing with a lot of tension, whether it's in your left hand, squeezing the neck so hard, or if it's in the right hand, over stroking with your pick, you're going to change the tone. You're going to probably change the tuning a little bit too. And it's a big problem in the studio, I noticed, that if you're playing a rhythm part and you're and the other guitar players, you're going to have problems with tuning, and eventually you're just going to wind up hurting yourself. I know how it happens because you hear a big rock guitar and it just feels like you're just, choking that guitar to make that sound come out. But actually, look at all the great guitar players. Almost to 100% chance, you'll see that their sounds are coming out of hands that are just moving very slightly, and their right hands are like feathers. They're so soft, but the sound is so big. So learn to play without tension in your hands. Number 9, not learning how to set up your own guitar and becoming dependent on, a technician that's going to do that for you. You have to take your guitar to the guitar store to have them put new strings on, or even change the intonation or adjust the neck. There are some basic things that you should learn to do on your own. Why? Because actually, you'll have more confidence in that the guitar is going to be stable, and you'll have a lot of confidence when you're playing. Because if you have somebody else doing it, you're always going to worry about, is the intonation right? Is it going to stay in tune? You'll be so afraid because you don't know how to do it. So learn how to do basic sort of adjustments and setups on your guitar, and really it'll make you a better player. So really take the time to learn about, the parts of the guitar and what you need to make your own setups. Number 10. Now this one a lot of people don't talk about, but I know this is really true for me, and that is not recording yourself while you're playing. If you have a recording of yourself while you're playing, it's going to do a bunch of things for you. Number 1, it's going to help you overcome what we call red light fever. Some people just freak out. They're great players when they're playing and they know that nothing's being recorded, but once the red light goes on, they freeze up. And that's a common thing. It happens to everybody, or most everybody, and you just want to basically just do it so much that you just don't care anymore, that you can be your true self with the red light on. The other thing that listening back to your recordings is the best teacher you'll ever have. You're going to hear things in your playing, and most of it you won't like. So get over it not being perfect, because that's just part of being a musician. But you're going to hear things that you can instantly make better. You're going to recognize that you're not bending right, you're not finishing a note off. You really want to listen to yourself play, because you will instantaneously make the correction and get better. And oh, by the way, your first impression when you listen back to a recording is the true impression. If you listen to yourself over and over a recording and keep replaying it, you wind up getting what's called demo love. And the things become familiar. You like them more when they're more familiar. And you're going to lose your perspective. So your first impression when you're listening to a playback of yourself, trust that one and work on the things that you didn't like and make them better. Number 11, letting mistakes cripple you. I was given a great piece of advice from a super, super well-known guitar player who tours and does everything. And he just said to me one day when I was asking, what do you do when you make a mistake? And he leaned into me and he goes, get over it. And that's a great piece of advice, because in the moment when you're playing and you make a mistake, if you sit there and dwell on the mistake, you're going to make another mistake down the road, because you're not going to be ready for the next move. So you just got to get over it. It happened and it's gone. And eventually, when you get comfortable with that approach, you're not going to sweat the mistake. In fact, you might get good enough to actually make a mistake sound like it was intended. That's part of the process. So just suck it up, buttercup, when you make a mistake, and move on. Don't think about it. Just keep going. Number 12. This is really important. Not learning how to sight read or sight sing music. I think that if you have any ambition to work in the music field as a musician, guitar player, it doesn't matter what instrument, you're going to have more opportunities if you can sight read. If you can read music, it's going to open up a lot of job opportunities to quickly jump in a band or in a recording session or in any other walk of life in the music industry. learning how to read is so critical. It's the one commonality, sheet music and scores that we all share universally. So do your best to learn how to sight read. Just take your time, do a little bit at a time, and just get better at it. And learn how to sight sing too, because if you can look at a note and actually hear it in your head, that's going to come out through your hands when you play as well. So learn how to sight read, learn how to sight sing. Number 13, not learning how to transpose a song into different keys on your instrument, and not learning how to do inversions of chords. I'll throw that in as sort of a separate little subset. But transposing, learning how to transpose from the key of C to the key of G to the key is really important, because when you're playing with other musicians, especially vocalists, their ranges are different, and they might throw it on you right there, right before a show or right before a recording, and say, hey, I do that in the key of C. Well, you've only worked it up in the key of G, and you're going to be lost. So learn how to transpose in every key. When you're practicing, practice all your scales in all keys, and practice a song in all keys. So this was from Joe Pass, the great jazz guitar player, and he would teach his students this, and it is absolutely a life skill that will never let you down, and you'll more thoroughly understand music, you'll more thoroughly understand your instrument. So transpose, baby. Number 14, avoiding basic knowledge of music. I don't know why this is, but there's a lot of musicians and artists who think that, well, if I wind up studying music, it's going to kill the artistry in me. I won't be able to be just an artist. And that's, for me, is nonsense. You'll be a better artist if you understand what's going on behind music, what makes music sound the way it does. So you should immediately start to enroll, either it's online or school or what have you. Learn the basics of music. Learn about rhythm and meter and scales and key signatures, intervals, chords, chord progressions. These are important fundamental things that are going to make you a better player. Don't be afraid that's going to kill your inspiration. In fact, if you're anything like me, when you learn some interesting things like what are intervals, you're going to write a ton of songs just based on one little thing that you've learned. And so use it as a tool to kind of lift you creatively. And just for starters, I would recommend that you go to musictheory.net/lessons, musictheory.net/lessons. I like that website because it's approved by conservatories of music. So they're using certain structures of teaching and layering of curriculum that is absolutely consistent with some of the great conservatories of the world. So start off by going to that website and then to start going through the curriculum there. Number 15. So obviously, the one thing I've left out is not seeking a great teacher. We all need teachers, and when the student is ready, the teacher appears, as the saying goes. But go find a great teacher. Find someone that you admire, that you love their playing, you like their style, you like their way, and go to a teacher and have them impart on you their wisdom. And at some point, you might want to switch out to another teacher. That's fine, but you should always have a teacher that's helping you. I still have teachers that I go to, and they're invaluable to me for my growth. And finally, number 16. Now, this one's a little bit controversial. It's because it's about bands. And the point I want to make is the mistake that you could make with a band, and bands are important, being in a band. They're a rite of passage, and they are great to be in, and you should be in a band, you should be in more than one band. But my point here is that you're going to grow as a musician, and when you're dealing with other musicians, at some point, it's quite possible that other people's, ambitions and desires and maybe work ethic might start not keeping up with where you're at. So don't be afraid to keep moving on, exploring new horizons with other musicians and other bands. I really do like the camaraderie of an ensemble, but be prepared not to get held back in a group that maybe is not evolving with you at the same rate. It's just a reality, and it's a hard reality to learn, because I know how important it is to have friends and the kind of the loyal bond that you forge. But be ready that if it's time to move on, it's time to move on. Well, thank you all for watching this video. I hope that these 16 kind of beginner mistakes resonate with you, one or all of them. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and send me some comments in terms of maybe other things that you'd like me to talk about in my next video. I'm Carl Baldassarre.
Perfect. That was great. That's great. Best intro so far.
Woohoo!
Hey!
Teddy approved!
Now, there's a lot of these, so we might have to cut some of these out, but let's get going here.
You have 7, right? How many?
God, no.
How many?
16.
Oh, no!
You cut them out.
No. Okay, so you should have mentioned the number. 16?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,